president who fired every general, the Union was getting destroyed. Despite having way more soldiers and supplies, its armies were somehow losing to a smaller enemy. President Abraham Lincoln had a super simple plan to win. Crush the rebellion with non-stop overwhelming force. There was just one huge problem. His generals were terrified of actually fighting. To save the entire country, Lincoln had to personally take over the war and start a crazy challenge to find one general who wasn't afraid to win. After a totally humiliating defeat at the First Battle of Bull Run, the idea that this would be a short war was completely shattered. Even though he had zero military training, Lincoln started studying like crazy. He read every strategy book he could find and instantly figured out the Union's insane advantages in soldiers and factories. His master plan was simple: attack the enemy on all fronts all the time without stopping. But his generals were too cautious and just wouldn't do it. Lincoln realized he didn't just need a new plan, he needed new generals. His first big hire was a guy they called the Young Napoleon. General George B. McClellan was a genius at organizing, turning a bunch of demoralized guys into the incredible Army of the Potomac. But he was also so pathologically cautious that he would wildly overestimate how many enemies there were just to have an excuse not to fight. Lincoln begged and pushed him, but McClellan refused to move, and one time he even made the president wait in his living room just to go to bed without ever seeing him. After he got completely outsmarted by Robert E. Lee near Richmond, he got another chance at the Battle of Antietam. He stopped Lee's invasion in the single bloodiest day of the war, but then he let Lee's wrecked army just walk away when one final push could have completely destroyed it. For Lincoln, that was it. McClellan was fired. Lincoln's next pick, Ambrose Burnside, was loyal, but he literally knew he wasn't good enough for the job. Lincoln made him do it anyway, and feeling the pressure to be the aggressive general Lincoln wanted, Burnside ordered one of the worst attacks in military history: a frontal assault against an unbreakable enemy position at Fredericksburg. The result was a disgusting slaughter, with Union casualties over 12,000. Lincoln said, "If there is a worse place than hell, I am in it." After just 2 insane months, Burnside was gone. He was followed by Fighting Joe Hooker, a super-aggressive commander who bragged, "May God have mercy on General Lee, for I will have none." At the Battle of Chancellorsville, with an army more than double the size of Lee's, a win seemed guaranteed. But the second Lee launched a surprise counterattack, Fighting Joe completely lost his nerve. He ordered a retreat, gave up his advantage, and suffered another humiliating defeat for the Union. It didn't take long for Hooker to get fired too. So you had McClellan, the guy who was too cautious; Burnside, the loyal guy who failed; and Hooker, the confident guy who choked. While Lincoln's generals kept failing in the East, this quiet, normal-looking commander was winning everything in the West: Ulysses S. Grant. This guy didn't give fancy speeches, he just fought. After capturing huge forts and getting the nickname Unconditional Surrender, Grant, he captured the fortress of Vicksburg, giving the Union control of the Mississippi River and literally splitting the Confederacy in two. This was finally a guy who didn't make excuses. In March 1864, Lincoln promoted Grant to lieutenant general, putting him in charge of all the Union armies. The president had finally found his winner. The second Grant came east to fight Robert E. Lee. The entire war changed. After a brutal battle in the wilderness, a place where Union armies always retreated from before, Grant did the unthinkable. He ordered his army not to retreat, but to march south and keep attacking Lee. When the soldiers figured out they weren't retreating, they literally started cheering. For the first time, their commander was not going to give up. What came next was a relentless, non-stop slugging match. The battles were horrific and the number of dead was staggering, giving Grant the nickname the Butcher. But Lincoln understood. Grant was finally using Lincoln's original strategy: trap Lee's army and grind it into dust through a brutal war the South could never win. This insane pressure worked. Grant trapped Lee at Petersburg, and after a 9-month siege, Lee surrendered. The war was over. Lincoln's journey as the commander-in-chief is a masterclass in leadership. He started as a complete beginner and learned incredible lessons from every general's failure. That being organized is useless if you don't attack, and being loyal means nothing if you can't do the job. His desperate and frustrating search for the right commander wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the single act that saved the nation. He kept firing generals until he found the one man, Ulysses S. Grant, who understood the terrible, bloody math of how to win. In doing all of this, Lincoln proved he wasn't just a great president, but a legendary wartime commander.
What do you think was the most important lesson from the event? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thought. For more epic war history, don't forget to subscribe today.